Today, we're unraveling a fascinating and, honestly, slightly alarming modern medical mystery. So picture this. Your alarm goes off, you drag yourself out of bed, hit the gym for a solid, sweat-inducing workout, shower, and then head to work feeling incredibly accomplished. I mean, you've checked the health box for the day, right? Well, actually, no. Not exactly. We're going to explore the deceptive comfort of that morning gym session and why the science tells us it might not be the absolute bulletproof shield we think it is.
Okay, let's really dive into this because we've got a stark contrast in our daily lives. On one hand, you've got a dedicated 30 minutes pounding away on the treadmill. But on the other hand, the reality for so many of us is, well, 10 solid hours just sitting at a desk. The question we have to ask ourselves is, does that quick morning run truly cancel out a full day of sitting? Because let's be real, we've all been conditioned to believe that a quick burst of intense morning exercise buys us this free pass to remain completely immobilized for the rest of the day. But biology? Yeah, biology keeps a much stricter accounting book.
So let's get right into the first part of our explainer, the couch potato paradox.
You know, this active couch potato concept literally challenges everything we think we know about being healthy. Because as it turns out, being an athlete in the morning doesn't make you immune to being a couch potato all afternoon. You can absolutely be both, and your body reacts to both. And to really grasp the weight of this paradox, we're not just guessing based on a handful of people here. We're looking at massive, undeniable scientific authority. 1.44 million people. That's the sheer staggering scale of a 2016 analysis by Moore and colleagues at the National Cancer Institute. They pulled data from 12 different cohort studies across the US and Europe to definitively map out how our physical activity interacts with long-term disease risk, specifically cancer.
Now, what's really interesting about this data is that the Moore analysis proves, without a shadow of a doubt, that exercise is incredibly effective. I mean, they found that physical activity legitimately protects against 13 different types of cancer. Just look at these numbers. We're talking a 42% risk reduction for esophageal adenosine, 26% for lung cancer, 10% for rectal cancer. It's a powerful dose-response relationship. Basically, the more you move, the lower your risk. So for sure, that morning workout is absolutely doing phenomenal work for your body.
But, and here's the huge but, which brings us to the core scientific mystery of this explainer. If exercise works so well, why are highly active people, the folks successfully crushing their daily treadmill goals, why are they still showing surprisingly elevated risks for certain cancers if their jobs involve sitting all day? Despite all those undeniable benefits of exercise we just saw, there's a hidden, independent variable operating in the background, quietly driving up that risk.
Which takes us to our next section, the biology of sitting. Let's look under the hood. To actually solve this mystery, we need to understand exactly what happens to our blood, our enzymes, and our cells when we transition from a morning sprint to, well, just sitting there for hours. It's not just the absence of exercise. Sitting is a biologically active state all on its own. And it all starts with this incredibly important enzyme called Lipoprotein Lipase, or LPL for short. You could think of LPL as your body's metabolic vacuum cleaner. Its whole job is to efficiently break down and clear out circulating fats from your bloodstream. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. LPL activity relies heavily on muscle contractions. When you sit completely still for extended periods, you're essentially reaching over and pulling the plug on that metabolic vacuum cleaner. It literally just switches off.
And the moment that metabolic vacuum stops, a dangerous domino effect kicks in. Because fats and blood glucose aren't being cleared out efficiently anymore, they just kind of linger in your system. Your body responds by pumping out more insulin, which leads to insulin resistance, and then that chronic insulin elevation triggers sudden spikes in IGF-1, or insulin-like growth factor 1. Now, as the name suggests, this is a powerful growth hormone, and while growth sounds great, in adult tissues, excessive growth signals can be incredibly dangerous.
Let's move to how this all builds into a perfect storm for cellular danger. It's a clear 4-step biological cascade. Step 1, your desk chair suppresses that LPL enzyme. Step 2, without that clearance, the fats and glucose linger, sparking insulin resistance. Step 3, your IGF-1 growth hormone levels spike. And step 4, this is the absolutely crucial one. If there are any abnormal or precancerous cells anywhere in your body, they happily exploit that IGF-1 signal. It acts like a biological fertilizer, telling malignant cells to rapidly divide while simultaneously helping them evade apoptosis. And apoptosis, by the way, is just your body's natural process for killing off damaged cells.
So, that brings us to the sedentary data, the 2-hour danger.
You're probably wondering, exactly how many hours of staying glued to a chair does it take to actually move the needle on these long-term disease risks? Well, this brilliantly illustrates the problem. A major meta-analysis found that for every 2 hours of continuous, static sitting, your risk for endometrial cancer goes up by 10%, and your risk for colorectal cancer increases by 8%. And here is the absolute kicker. This risk increase is completely independent of your leisure time physical activity. The researchers found this exact pattern holds true even for the people who hit the gym that very same morning.
So, the crucial point we really need to hammer home here is this. The 30-minute morning workout does not fully erase 10 hours of immobility. The active couch potato paradox is entirely real, because the gym and the desk chair have completely independent biological consequences. The gym triggers amazing positive cardiovascular adaptations, for sure, but the prolonged sitting independently triggers that LPL suppression and metabolic dysfunction we just broke down. Basically, you just cannot outrun a 10-hour chair sentence in only 30 minutes.
All right, moving on to the final part, your new daily blueprint. Time to outsmart the trap.
Now, I know the biology side of this sounds a bit overwhelming, especially if, like so many of us, you've got a desk job. But here is how we establish a new baseline and empower you with some really solid evidence-backed solutions. According to the World Cancer Research Fund and the American Institute for Cancer Research, these are your targets. First, you still absolutely need that 150 to 300 minutes of moderate aerobic activity every week. You also need those 2 resistance training sessions per week to maintain your glucose-burning muscle mass. You want to maintain a healthy BMI to prevent inflammatory signaling. But look at that final point. It's now an official, standalone target. You must break up continuous sitting. It's literally just as important as the workout itself. So how do we practically do this, especially when you hit that dreaded 3 p.m. office slump? It's all about interrupting that biological cascade. You don't need a second full gym session. You really just need to move for 2 to 5 minutes every 30 to 60 minutes. Stand up when you take phone calls, force yourself to take the stairs, or intentionally walk to a bathroom on a completely different floor. The absolute easiest hack? Just set a recurring 45-minute reminder on your phone. Simply standing up and doing a brief stretch physically interrupts that LPL suppression and flips your metabolic vacuum cleaner right back on. And hey, if you're the kind of person who loves having a specific, data-driven target, check out this recent NCI data regarding the sheer power of daily steps. For general cancer risk, 5,000 daily steps is basically considered your baseline. But if you can incorporate enough movement throughout your day to hit 7,000 steps, you achieve an 11% lower risk. Hit 9,000 steps, and you're looking at a 16% lower risk. And honestly, here is the most uplifting part of all this data. Your pace doesn't matter. You don't have to be power walking around the office. Total cumulative movement throughout your day is what keeps that metabolic clearance active. So we've unpacked the paradox, we've looked under the hood at the cellular biology, and we've laid out your new daily blueprint. You now understand exactly why breaking up your day is just as vital as that morning gym session. Which leaves us with just one final thought. The average time for a block of focused desk work is about 30 minutes. Well, your 30 minutes are up. Will you stand up right now?